almost totally went away again, Erica.
All I heard was, Tanya, take it away. We'll get started. First, we want to Serena and I really want to thank you all for taking time today to meet us for brunch. Here we are, it's 11 o'clock. We have some really exciting things to share with you about our journey and marketing and just the amazing things that are available to business owners today, just as a reset so that you can be the most successful business that you can be, especially in today's climate. We want to first thank the Chamber, of course, for all their amazing support. You know, they've really gone out of their way, particularly in these last few months here, to make sure that their membership is informed, has all the resources that they want, has plenty of opportunities, and they're just have been so kind to all of their members. So can we just give a little clap, right, to
definitely
your leadership folks?
Yeah.
Paul, thank you, thank you, thank you. So today what we're going to talk about is, how do you shine bright? How do you stand out? How do you have your voice? How do you increase business in a time like this with a small or little budget? And what's great about our background, Serena and I, is that, of course, we've been in media for so long. Maybe, Serena, do you want to give a little background, a little bio on yourself?
Sure. And I just want to echo what Tanya said earlier. Thank you so much for having us. And also, I mean, kudos to the Chamber for providing so many resources. But yes, it's funny. Since I was 3 years old, English is not even my first language, right? So it's my fifth language. So I moved to the United States from India when I was 3. And the first people I started watching were Walter Cronkite and Barbara Walters. I tell you that story because my first toy was a microphone made out of aluminum foil. So I've always wanted to be a broadcast journalist, and I wanted to thank all of you for supporting me during this career. And it's been a great career. 23 years I've been a broadcast journalist, still going strong, and I've had the opportunity to cover so many stories, from interviewing nearly every president going back to George Bush, the elder George Bush, and to those horrible stories of going on death row and talking to serial killers and child predators and awful things. But I've also been able to meet everyday people and have been so humbled by that. And all of us can take the experiences that we have every single day and learn from that, whether you're a journalist, whether you're, no matter what your job is. And today, that's what Tanya and I are going to talk to you about, like that free marketing asset that we all have that we can plug into. And right now, especially, is the most important time to do that. We're going to talk about sharing your story. But before we go into it a little bit more, that's just a quick snapshot of my life, and Tanya, I'll let you continue before we talk about it more.
For us at Sky, we've been in marketing for forever. It seems like my background is communications and economics, and we've had the agency here it'll be 8 years in August. But before that, I was in media for 14 years for all the major media companies: Clear Channel, Beasley, Cox Radio. I even worked for AOL. Remember that? Can you believe we haven't even dialed? Oh my God, it's so crazy. I mean, we get annoyed, right? If the internet's down for a few seconds here, let alone waiting to dial up. So today what we're going to talk to you about, again, is what your biggest free marketing asset is and how to stand out in a climate like this. Before we get started, let's just take a little breather and back up for a second and kind of start from the beginning. So when we first meet with a client, the very first thing that we do is learn all about them. Because what we realize is that even though the perception is, only the big banks, only the giant McDonald's and all these really giant places that have millions of dollars to spend a month, those are really going to be the only brands that are recognized. That's just not true. The bottom line is that every company has something that's truly unique to them, and it's our job as an agency to find out what that is. And it's such an amazing process to go through too with a client, because you're asking them to get vulnerable. You're asking them to share their story, their dreams, their visions, everything that they ever wanted for themselves and for the business, what they envision down the road, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 50 years from now. And really, in the end, what we're really finding out is that every business owner, every business here has one nugget. Sometimes it's a little anthill, sometimes it's a little nugget, sometimes it's, an ounce, it just depends. But they all have something that's truly unique to them that has been the main vein and the main attraction to carry them through, to attract all of the customers and clients that they've had this time, to attract all of their friends and their relatives and their coworkers. And what we do with that information is we harness that and we create the entire communications around that one gem. Because the fact is that while, of course, I'll just use Bank of America for an example, since they're not a client, and I know we have other bankers here on the call today. You might think, oh gosh, Bank of America is so giant. Okay, they are giant, and there are some businesses and some people that need a giant bank because they travel internationally or whatever their reason is. They just like to have that giant bank. And then there's other people that don't want to just be a number. They want to build a relationship with their banker. They want someone to really become their friend and look out for them and not just be a number. And so a smaller community bank can really thrive if they speak that language. Not that they're the biggest, not that they're this or that. If they're not, it's just really speak the language that they are. And I use that example because, we all know Bank of America, but individually, each company has that same success. We all have that nugget that has been the attraction for all of your friends, all of your clients, all that's led you to your successful way of being all this time. So what we're going to share with you today is what is your biggest marketing secret. And I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but the thing is that the biggest marketing secret or the biggest marketing asset really is you. It's been you, and it always will be you. You as the face of the business, you as the heart of the business, you as your blood and oxygen, everything that you've done and given to the business, you are the biggest marketing asset for the business. The good news is that it's free. Yeah. So we're not here today to tell you, hey, oh gosh, I hope you have $1 billion to buy all these billboards. We're really going to help center you back into remembering that you yourself are the biggest marketing asset, which is great news. Who's happy that the thing is really free? Can you get a thumbs up?
How about a double thumbs up? Isn't that your favorite? A double thumbs up.
It's free, and that it's something that you already have access to. Perfect. So Serena's going to talk to you a little bit more about what that means when you yourself are the biggest marketing asset, and in fact that your story is the biggest marketing asset. And I'm going to share my screen. See, share.
And Tanya just hit on it when she said, share your story, right? Because all of us have a story. Every single one of us have a story. Now, you may not realize what your story is. So if you're sitting there and wondering, gosh, well, I don't know what my story is. What could my story possibly be? When you talk to someone and when you see that flicker in their eye of interest, whatever business you have, whether you're an accountant, whether you have a limousine company, whether you have a printing company, and you're talking just about yourself and you see a flicker of interest in someone's eyes, that is your story. Let me give you guys an example. I just recently did a story with a gentleman who owns a limousine company. So, I'm talking to him. He's been in the limousine company for a long, long time, for 20 years. So I said to him, so tell me a little bit about yourself. So it turns out that he's married. He has 4 children. His nephew's in the military. And he said, what I love about my business the most? And I said, what is that? And he said to me, it was the message that he was sending his kids and the message of following your dream, because he left a corporate job, decided to start this business, followed his dream. And now here he is 20 plus years later. Now that's when I looked at him, I said, that's your story, because it connects with people. And that's what you have to find. So if you're wondering what connects to people, talk to some of your friends, talk to the people that you're the closest to. Like we're seeing some pictures here of pictures of me throughout my career. Once again, all these years anchoring, all these opportunities to interview all sorts of people, getting to know people. And again, the bottom line is all of us have a unique story, and that's what you need to capitalize on. Say, I just told you the story about me, how I always wanted to be a broadcast journalist, but I didn't know how to speak English. And I learned how to speak English by watching Walter Cronkite and Barbara Walters. Well, part of that has become my story. So people love to see personal, what you're comfortable with sharing, the personal aspects of your life. Here's one screen where you see me professionally, but there was another screen, I think earlier. Okay, so here's one that's kind of, here's me in a sari, here eating food because I love food so much, talking about one of my shows, Dead to Me. Do you know that these are the posts, and these are the ones that get the most interest from people? So it's sharing little aspects of yourself that set you apart, that make you unique. Why did you start your business? What was that? Like the guy that I told you about with the limousine, go back and find out what your passion is. What's of interest to you? Because the bottom line, here's another story. We can go back to like the anchoring screen if you want. When I first started in this career, of course, I wanted to be that anchor. Oh gosh, I've got to be that anchor. So through years of research, many general managers, the bottom line is people like to watch people who are genuine and people who are real, people who make mistakes but can recover from mistakes. I use that. I'm a journalist, so I'm just using my job, right? But that goes to all of us. The bottom line, the more genuine you are, and the more personality you show, no matter what business you're in, that's what's going to attract people. Because the bottom line, whether it's, I know we're on a limited budget, but take an air conditioning guy or take an appliance person. I had a guy come here yesterday because my dishwasher broke. Now, I've had other appliance people in here before, like we all have, but you know what? I'm going to hire that guy again because I really liked him. And that's the bottom line. If you like somebody, and if you connect with someone, they're going to use you more. It doesn't matter what job you have. Do you want to weigh in on that, Tanya? Because I think you touched upon that too.
Yeah, so now that we've identified that the biggest marketing asset is you, yourself, and your story, we're going to start going into the 3 R's. The first one is rethink. And what that means is rethink your assets, rethink your marketing strategy, because what worked for you in Q1 may not work for you today, naturally, but let alone now in this environment. So if you're just continuing to do the same thing over and over and over again, it's not going to work. Or you may not yield the same results as you were receiving in Q1. So the very first thing is to just kind of shake up a little bit and just decide that you're going to have to rethink, what are the assets that you have available as a company? Is it your longevity in the market? Is it that you just happened to order a pallet of toilet paper just because it was on sale and you were just going to get a bargain for the whole year and now you're sitting on all this toilet paper? Is it that you're a great cook? Is it, your stories? I mean, it's whatever your assets are. Think about how that changed in this scenario, because again, almost doing like an audit on yourself and writing down what are the assets that you have. Is it you have 500 thank you cards that you wanted to send out? Is it that you have like Matt here, he's on the call, he does a lot with the military. He's doing a program right now where he's giving back. and taking photos of the military. There's just so many examples of things that we've seen so far where people are shifting and looking at the assets that they have and what does that mean now in this new climate. So the very first thing is rethink your assets and your strategy. Again, are you going to still advertise like you were before? Probably not. A, because of funds, and B, maybe that platform's not there anymore, or the circumstances of your business is either not operational or closed or whatnot. So, again, just to, number one, rethink what you're doing. The second is refocus. And I'm going to show you some slides here and give you some examples of a client of ours. So one of our clients is Catering by the Family. And of course, everybody knows them, right? They've got a giant reputation in the market. They've been here for 40 years. And one of the great things about them is how generous they are and all the things that they have done in the marketplace. So what we were able to do with them was figure out, okay, well, what is their inventory? What are their assets? And their assets were this giant kitchen, this giant parking lot. They had a ton of food and just, a great reputation and a big heart and a big staff. So what we worked together with them to do was, again, adjust their strategy, adjust the way that they were communicating to the public. In this case, what we did was we held a blood drive. Thanks to Serena, we all know that the supplies is critically low. It was already low, but now, of course, nobody's going out, and more than ever, they needed blood. So again, one of their assets was that they had a giant parking lot. There's not really any customers there, right? Because we're all staying home. Boom. It can fit the big bus. It's in an awesome location, easy to get to, right off the expressway. And again, because they've been there for so long, it was an easy coordination. So they were able to give back to the community by having a very high turnout for this blood drive. That was really fun for them. And again, such a feel good. The second was they fed the first responders. So they went around and they fed the police department, the city, and the fire department. So again, giving back as they could with the assets that you have. So we ask you, well, what are things that you can be doing? How can you refocus your marketing strategy based on the assets that you have now? Yesterday we went to Breeze and Entertainment. They, of course, had a fun, amazing place where you could almost forget about your worries because people were performing and playing music, but they're collecting money for the Carrollwood Pantry. So they're using their location, Central and South Tampa, their huge reach, because everybody knows them, and then access to what they're known best for, which is entertainment. So rethink the assets that you have and refocus your marketing strategy so that, again, you're communicating to the community and your clients what's available to you now.
And you can rethink those assets just by taking a look at what you're doing, as Tanya pointed out, like the delivering the food or the, it's whatever you are doing. A lot of times prior to this financial crisis, you may have been, some people, might pay a marketing company or pay someone to communicate on social media for them. Right now it's incumbent on you, but you can do it. You can do it. You just need to do it by sharing your personality. Tanya, I love what you said about, for instance, the toilet paper, right? Like say you bought a pallet of toilet paper. That's hilarious. Say you're a CPA, but yet you bought this huge pallet of toilet paper. Why not, if you're comfortable with it, why not post that picture? Because it just gets people talking, and then it might get someone to click onto your website. Oh, what does this person do for a living? My dear friend Andy Diamond is on here on this chat, I believe, and she just did something, the Front Steps Project. And I'm like, what is this project? So she was doing it out of the good of her heart, right? Because she's passionate. She wants to give back to the community. She wants to take pictures. But that made me more interested in her business. It's just being yourself, and you're not being selfish. We're all living in this time where we are in it together, alone together, in it together, right? So post things that you're comfortable. If you're comfortable with it, post it about your life. It could get people interested in knowing more about you. And it's a way to share your story. And again, it goes back to making you feel real and genuine and relatable.
One of the fun things I saw that Kimberly and Aaron are on from Triage. One of the cool things that it made me think of, hi ladies, about the new language to your customers. One of the things I'm really impressed with that I've seen them do is the way that they've communicated to their consigners and to their customers. So they know that there's people that are waiting. They've given the product to them, their clothes. They're waiting for a check back. Obviously the location's closed. So they've done a great job communicating to them about the status of the opening soon or whatnot. And also for the customers, people who now they're at home, but I mean, how many days can you wear sweatpants, right? So being available to them on, hey, we have private appointments. If you've looked on their post recently, she did something really funny about Tiger King, right? We've all watched it. And so they dressed up a mannequin in that outfit. So, speaking to the language and just understanding kind of what's important to people now is really critical. And as a news anchor and reporter, Serena, I know you have a lot of tips to talk about what is the correct language and what are some of the new platforms that we all can be using now to be more effective in announcing.
Yes, so absolutely. Like one of the reasons a lot of people have asked me like why I left traditional television. Well, one of the reasons too, people weren't really watching traditional TV, right? They are now during this coronavirus crisis. I mean, I don't want to say that they're not. Of course, you are going back to watching more traditional news. But prior to that, where were you digesting information? And once again, it's reverting back, right? Social media. You're getting your news stories, you're getting your news, you're getting your, where you're going to buy your next outfit, what food you're going to eat, what makeup you're going to buy. You cannot post enough on social media. So even traditional news was really shifting the focus. Instead of like focus, we would always focus on our news story, but a lot of it was, oh, let's get it on social media first. Let's get it on social media first. So that's where people are digesting most of their information. This crisis is awful. And again, people are leaning more towards traditional news right now, but hopefully once we get through this, they're going to shift back to social media. And we're already seeing that trend. So it is important to post, but it's also important, very important to post different tones on different social media platforms. Now, I know the Chamber has hosted some amazing seminars on LinkedIn and other venues. I'll just give you some basic advice. On Instagram, think about influencers. You don't really, when you think about influencers, you don't think about Twitter influencers or Facebook influencers or LinkedIn influencers, right? You think about Instagram influencers. Instagram should be, if you want to post on Instagram, those are the posts where you share a little bit more about your personality, like the fun side. For instance, Tanya was so sweet. Tanya and Gabriel at the office. My birthday was, of course, celebrated. It was on April Fool's Day. It was April Fool's Day. So I was in the office, and they so sweet brought a cupcake and balloons and all this other stuff. And I'm eating the cupcake, and I posted on Instagram that I'm stressed when I'm eating this cupcake. And it was some silly post, right? And it showed a more humorous and personal side. But I took that same post and changed the wording a little bit for Facebook, because you don't want to be as lighthearted on Facebook as you do Instagram. I know all this stuff might sound, what are you talking about? But it's the way people digest your information. Twitter is very male-oriented. Twitter should be limited to a couple of lines. A lot of people like to get their news that way. LinkedIn should be more reserved, in my opinion, for, say, we did a campaign like with the catering by the family. Like, of course, the catering by the family, for instance, not to go back, but I posted it on all my platforms. But the language changes for each of the platforms. I know people can think, oh my gosh, that is such a pain to post like five times the same post. But if you can just change the wording, and right now we have some extra time. I know a lot of us are working a lot. We're managing our families. But if you can even take just 10 minutes out of your day and post one thing, it will go a long way. And say you're thinking, there's no way I want to post on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Trust me, that's what we thought in the newsroom, right? Then just choose one and connect your sites. Like Instagram and Facebook are connected. So just post one post on Instagram, make it appropriate for Instagram and Facebook, and that's it. And also, if you post at the same time every day, so say you choose Tuesday at 10 a.m. or if you choose like 10 a.m. every single day, and say you want to post, say you don't want to post anything about your life, but you want to post a quote about life or a funny saying or something, just pick the exact same time every single day so people know to look for your post. It's these tiny little tips that are very, very surprising. You would be very surprised when you see the results. And speaking of results, you can track them yourself to see how much engagement you get on your posts.
So this is really helpful. And just in a little bit, she's gonna speak specifically about videoing and just all the great experience and the results that she's seen with some of her posts and videoing herself and doing things out in the community. I want to share with you, while we did the blood drive, that we had 2 TV stations come out and interview the owners. So again, you're doing good, which is awesome, and the whole reason why you're out there. I mean, but it doesn't hurt, right, if you get some publicity out of it. So right now, more than ever, and Serena can talk more to this, the media is craving information because, they've spoken about coronavirus. And so there's other things that they're looking for that are more positive. And right now, each of you have the power because you already know what your biggest marketing asset is, you and your story, and you might have more time. So think about what can you create for yourselves that can attract the media to come out and share your story on a bigger platform.
Yes.
And the next we're going to talk about is results. And so again, how will you determine results in this time frame? So how you calculated it in Q1 may be different than how you need to calculate it in Q2. Is it how many thank you cards you've written, how many 5-star reviews you've written, how many restaurants you've supported by buying takeout? Is it how many old ladies you helped walk across the street or buy their groceries? It can be whatever makes you feel good, but to know that you have to shift the way that you are determining what's successful for you will help you just feel better about being able to achieve it. Because if you held yourself to the goals that you set potentially in the beginning of the year, with these circumstances, you may not be able to achieve those exact goals, but that doesn't mean that you can't make some adjustments and add in some new, fresh goals that are pertinent to the situation now. So I want to show an example. After this, Serena's going to talk more about how she's had so much success with doing videos for folks, live Facebook feeds and fun things like that. But here's an example. These guys are relatively new in the States, but they're big time in Canada. They've worked with major sports entities in the world, and they are, again, refreshing their brand. It's a supportive garment that you can wear that helps make you sit up straight and put everything in. And it's just allows you to perform at your very best. Also, if you're recovering from surgery or you have a groin pain, this garment would help you. I mean, it's not like, what I'm trying to say is that it's not like that thing you're looking for every day. It's not something pretty and fun and like, ooh, let me just add another, garment to a medical grade garment to my collection. It's something really specific. But through a great video that they created with Serena, look at these results. I mean, and this was just from the 16th. So how many days is that? 5 days? Not even, because it was posted at 8 o'clock at night. I mean, so think about it. If a medical grade garment that not the everyday Joe needs to use, here are the types of reactions that they've gotten. So you, a fun photographer, I saw Elizabeth West, Jazzercise. I mean, there's so many fun and great things that are on today. You have that story. And if a medical grade garment shorts could get the results like this, imagine what you could create with your cool story too. Serena, would you be hearing some of
and you know what? Let me tell you, more than words, video, people are craving video. And it doesn't have to be this highly produced video, right? It can just be, if you're posting your own video, the best suggestion is 10 to 20 seconds. That's it. 10 to 20. Just a fun, quick video. People's attention span will only last that long. I would encourage you to post videos. Again, I'm sorry. I looked away for a moment, but yes, back to the video. People cannot get enough of it. Take 10, 20 seconds and post a video and say, I get asked a lot, how do I get on traditional news? How do I get my story on traditional news? Like, how do I get a video like, the core shorts? Every single newsroom, especially right now, as Tanya mentioned, and I can tell you, just being a journalist for all these years, people do want to see positive stories right now, or they want to see interesting stories. We've done so many stories relating to the pandemic. If you want to get a newsroom's attention, every single newsroom has an assignment desk. I worked at ABC. It was news tips at WFTS.com. You can look that up. It's an easy Google search. Check. There's 5 newsrooms in our area. Check their assignment desk newsrooms. Email all of them. And in the heading, 3 to 5 words at the max on sharing your story. Why is your story important? And give a brief outline on what you're doing. Now, is that going to guarantee news coverage? No. But you never know. You could get some news coverage, and then you have that video to also put on your website. But take video of your own. I'm telling you, take video of your own. People love it. People love it. And if you like to cook, take a video. And when I was talking about the 10 to 20 seconds, of course, you're not going to make a gourmet meal in 10 to 20 seconds, but say you have the best pasta recipe and we're at home now, right? But you can make the best sauce. So many of our kids can take videos better than we can, right? Have them take the video and put it together on iMovie and share it. It can be, if you want it to be longer, of course that it can be longer. It's never limited to 10 or 20 seconds. I was just saying that that's all you need if you want to start to get some traction.
I failed to mention when I was talking about this video is that it was 100% about their story, about how this gentleman who was a physiotherapist was tired of wrapping up his patients in the same manner over and over and over again because they were injured. And he thought, boy, I wish there was something that could actually be proactive instead of reactive. And that's how he came up with this garment. And hearing his journey through, then he met one of the trainers for a National Soccer League on set of a movie. I mean, it's kind of like surreal when you think about how they met and how they've come to be. The story is what, catches your attention and gets you interested.
And they got the idea, and he wrote down his idea on a beer coaster.
Right, on a beer coaster at a bar.
On a beer coaster. And so things that you may not think are your story are your story. Like when he said to me, oh yeah, he's actually the team physiotherapist for the national soccer team in Canada. And he said it was really embarrassing because he was wrapping up the players and he was so embarrassed because he thought, oh my gosh, is it going to come unwound to you on national TV? But more importantly, the pain, right? So the embarrassment of the players getting unwrapped, the pain, and he was out during a happy hour with his colleagues, and all of a sudden the idea clicked and he wrote it on a coaster. Now we can tell you about this medically grade garment. We can tell you that, they have a 3.0, 2.0, 1.0, why they're so great. They have a patent, but you know what you're going to remember? That the idea came on a coaster. So all of us have that unique story. You just have to find it.
You just have to find it. That's exactly right. So we're going to wrap up here. I have a really fun book that I want to share with you all and a fun quote, and then we'll open it up for about 10 minutes of questions. So let me just do this first. Here's our contact information. If you'd like to connect with us directly, you can reach us at this information. And I want to share, how do I do this? Oh, you guys can see me, right?
Yes.
So one of my most favorite books was given to me about, let me see, I would say about 12 or 13 years ago. If anybody knows me, I'm not really a reader unless it's like the Inquirer, because, I like to know what's going on. So when I was working in radio, they sent us to this management class to learn about how to become a facilitator and how to really be the best listener you can so that you can extract the really important information from a client so that you can help them create the most efficient marketing plan. And so they gave us this book, and at first I thought, oh my gosh, U2, I love that band, but that's not what they meant. They meant U Squared. And the first thing I love about it is that it's 35 pages. So I was like, okay, I can do this without pictures. But what it's about is quantum leaps. It means that 1 + 1 doesn't have to mean 2, and the next step doesn't have to be 3. With enough momentum, strategy, desire, and focus, you can jump to a 4, you could jump to a 10, and you could jump to a 30. It doesn't necessarily have to be in order. So I really recommend you all buying this. So this is when I got it back all those years ago, and now this is what it looks like, all shiny and new. You can tell someone's gotten a makeover. But why I have 2 of them is because I always buy them for friends and colleagues that are starting their own businesses or going through something, because it really helps you, again, rethink, refocus, and decide what are the results that you want. In fact, when I read this book again, when I was going to open up my agency, that's how I was able to come up with the 3 R's at that time: rethink, refocus, results. And ironically, here is Serena and I meeting, and her biggest contribution and her biggest thing that she's done, her biggest experience, is how she's been able to capture all these stories for others for over 20 years. And, really, it's her story too that's so special. So to close this out, I want to share one of my favorite pages in here, the last page. And it says, look inside for opportunity. Everything else that's needed right now comes from inside of you. The opportunity, the timing, the power to perform, these are in you, not in the situation. Your dreams, your desires, the thoughts that burn the hottest in your mind, they carry the messages that help you find your own magnetic north. They point the way toward the breakthrough to your U Squared. Look inside at what pulls at your consciousness, for there you'll find direction. Everything else is in position, waiting for you. Just do it. Make the quantum leap. And I'll post this too in our Facebook group, in our news feed, so that in case you are interested in getting this. But we're going to open it up to questions. Erica, need some help with how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have a question, you can either hit the reaction on the bottom, that is a raised hand, or feel free to drop a question in the chat. We have about 10 minutes.
I do want to give a shout out to Tom Cook and Mike Dervich for having the funnest background while we were presenting. Tom's there like smoking away with his stogie, living his best life. And Mike Dervich has his interactive MC Hammer going on. So I just want to give you guys a shout out for making this so fun for us while we were presenting.
That was my pleasure, but I had to come inside, and Mrs. Cook doesn't approve of smoking indoors. So I had to put it down.
Oh, here you go, Marie.
So it looks like Stella has a question. If a business is short on marketing budget, what is the one thing you would recommend it does?
I would recommend, and I think that's what we're talking about. I think most people don't have the marketing budget right now. So do it yourself, you know?
Tell your story.
Tell your story. Do it yourself.
Free.
And that's all free. Do it yourself. Post about your business, post about you. Add something personal though. Add something personal about your story. And once again, if you don't know quite what your story is, you really do. Just think about like why you started your business, why you love your business, why are you doing your business? That in itself is the story. It's like what we talked about with the core shorts guys, you know, just trying to find out. They wanted to find a solution to that problem, to the problem.
So it says in your title that you're a CPA, Stella. So as a CPA, people are nervous. What should they do about their taxes? What about this? What about that? So even giving informative little tidbits, right, in form of either a video or writing them out as posts, that I think would be really helpful to the community because we just have so many questions.
And keep the tips short though. The best thing you can do, you could say something like this. The 2 or the 3 best tips right now on getting through the financial crisis. 1, 2, 3, number it, and then put your website at the very bottom. So then people can click onto the website and learn more about you. Or a contact or a number or, you know, whatever you have. But if you're posting, it's really great to break it up and to give tips.
And if you're in the situation where you have your personal brand that maybe is not available
for business, right now,
you know, perhaps like something fun that I've seen recently is, you know, Lisa Demi, right? Every day she's been singing a song out loud, like into the World Wide Web. So something like that, that's fun and it's a break in your mind. People are going to remember that. And she's building her own brand awareness as a person by doing something consistent like that. So it doesn't always have to be business if that's not your situation. You can just think about things that work well with the resources that you have. Again, the first thing is to rethink your assets. So make a list of what those assets are. And then you can come up with a strategy around those assets.
And people, as Gabriel just posted here, it's so true. Those personal and heartfelt messages are the ones that are going to get the most reaction and are going to stay with people. Absolutely, without a doubt.
So I see here, this will be our last question here. It's from Flame. So he's saying that he's closed for 2 weeks and that he's going to be reopening on the 28th. What kind of marketing would we suggest? So there's a lot of fun things you could do. You could, again, maybe do a Facebook Live about how, hey, in just 5 hours from now, we're going to be opening. I know you have a stellar lunch that everybody talks about. So promoting it ahead of time yourself in the parking lot, or maybe videoing the chef preparing some of the food, saying, in just a few hours, we're going to be open for lunch today. We've missed you. You could do fun things like, again, as long as it's in alignment with your personality, you could send out little invitations, inviting the public back that you're going to be open. It could be whatever makes sense with, you know, again, the resources that you have and in alignment with your personality.
And remember, if you're uncomfortable with live video, even though live I think is very, very fun because that just shows your personality. And guys, remember, if you're shooting on Facebook, for Facebook, your phone has to be like this. If it's Instagram, it's like this because the video looks strange.
We don't like strange.
Hi, this is Cindy.
Hi, Cindy.
Hello.
I didn't think she meant to do that. Hey, Serena, when I do that Facebook Live and I have my camera sideways, it tells me that I have to rotate it upwards for it to view.
That's
and if not, when I have it this way, it's kind of wonky, like sideways when I'm streaming it on my phone.
It should. That's interesting to me though, because because I've done this before, if you start your Facebook Live like this, it's going to have you rotate, but then the whole video is going to be completely off.
Okay. So you're saying start it, hit Facebook Live?
No, don't start like this. No, start it like this. Start it like this. Start it like this.
I'll try that out next time.
Yeah, start it like this. And there's also for video, it's $14.99. There is an app out there. It's called Film Mic Pro. Again, it's $14.99. It doesn't do live, but if you don't have the resources to get, microphones and lights and things like that, it is an amazing app to take video. It's fantastic. When you do a Facebook Live too, where it says the description, 3 words is always the best. Like whatever 3 words you can think of, between 3 to 5 words, catchy title, put that title in capital letters. You don't want people to think that you're screaming at them, right? But the title can be in capital. You can, like for instance, with the restaurant, excited to reopen, put that in capital, and then put a few, key phrases about the business and what you guys are doing. I know this is so funny, but the pop socket, my daughter told me to get one, and that helps a lot if you don't have any other equipment to keep it still. You can hold the camera and it really helps, because with Facebook Live or anything live, you can shake. Yeah. Sorry, look at this. I've had like maybe, I don't know, like 5 cups of iced tea since 7 this morning. I think I'm drinking a little bit too much caffeine lately, but anyway.
Well, thank you, Serena and Tanya, for everything today. Everyone feel free to write in the chat any information you want to share. And then if you want to save the chat, there are 3 little dots at the bottom, and just click Save Chat, and that will download it to your computer, okay? If there's any other questions, Tanya and Serena put their information, so feel free to contact them. We're going to leave the video open for another 5 to 10 minutes if anybody wants to further connect, but let's give a virtual round of applause to our presenters.
Thank you so much for having us, guys.
Thank you for your brunch with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'd like to just give a little plug for our Monday. Is that okay, Erica?
Yes.
Okay, it's our Monday food drive that we're doing every Monday at Breezen. That Tanya was so kind to say something for us. We are there from 11 to 1 every Monday in April, and I think once my office backs up, opens back up, we're going to continue to do it for the rest of the year for the community food pantry. So rain or shine, we'll have music out there. Give us a little, if you're driving by, just even a little beep gives us some encouragement. 1 can makes a big difference, so thank you.
Nicole Pablos, you asked about the book. It's called U Squared.
Oh, U Square.
Just think U2, and then you'll remember it. That's how I did.
Guys, and I leave you with this challenge. Try to post 1 post a day, beginning today.